What's going on, everyone? This is Dom, and this is 48 hours with the iPhone X. So there are three main things to touch on when it comes to using the iPhone X. The display, the user experience with all the new gestures and everything, as well as Face ID. Is it a sufficient replacement to Touch ID? Well, let's go ahead and get into it. If you haven't caught my unboxing and impressions of the iPhone X, I will be sure to link that in the description for you, but let's talk about that display for a second. So around the front side, we have a 5.8-inch display with a resolution of 2436 by 1125. Weird resolution in Apple fashion. The display spans nearly the entire front of the body, with the exception of that little notch that just kind of digs into my heart just a little bit each time I see it. Now, one of the growing pains with this display that I've noticed is how apps actually take advantage of it. So a lot of the apps that you're used to using, like Twitter and Instagram, YouTube, things like that, they've all actually been updated to fit the full size of the screen, so you don't actually have any lack of coverage there. But other apps, like for example the Nest app that I have on my phone, it actually black bars on the top and the bottom, so it kind of makes it seem like you're using an iPhone 8 anyway. I will say though that because of the OLED display on the front here, you can't really notice the notch when it's actually black barring on the top and the bottom of different apps that aren't compatible, because it really just blends right in. Another place where you can see those black bars is if you're watching a YouTube video and you can see them flanking the sides of the actual video, because the aspect ratio on this display is a little bit different. But I have to say that the front-facing speakers, or well, semi-front-facing speakers on this guy are pretty awesome, and I'm actually liking the sound quality there a lot. Back to the whole video viewing experience though, with the different aspect ratio, like I said, you have the black bars, but you can actually zoom in on videos, though you are cutting off a portion of the top and the bottom of the video by doing that, just to adjust to that new aspect ratio. I have noticed some shift while tilting the phone or viewing off axis. It has a little bit of a blue shift. It's nowhere nearly as bad as what I saw on the Pixel 2 XL, so I guess if you're familiar with that one, you can keep that in mind here. But this is actually not too bad, and the display looks really nice. It's the first time that we've really seen iOS on an OLED display, so I'm actually a big fan. Now, with this large display, there are a couple of things that come from that. Obviously, we have no home button here, so I'm gonna tell you what that experience is like. And because there's no home button, there's no Touch ID, and that brings us to Face ID and unlocking the phone. So talking about the biggest question I've seen, is Face ID just as fast as Touch ID? Now, to answer that question, I'm gonna say yes and no. So it's just as fast pretty much when you get the hang of how to unlock your phone. You can just raise it, double tap on the screen, and then swipe up to unlock, and it works pretty well. I've actually been pretty surprised at the consistency that I've gotten with just unlocking the phone. Now, the instances where it's not going to be just as fast is if for some reason it just doesn't hit your face and scan it right away like you would expect it to, and then you're just gonna have to wait a second until that little lock icon on the top of the screen actually flips to unlock, and then you can swipe to open. Now, if you do it a little quicker, then it's recognized your face. Yeah, there's a little bit of a hiccup, but for the most part, I think that it's a sensible replacement to Touch ID. What I'm not 100% convinced on are the gestures and the replacements for the physical button that took you back home and launched Siri and things like that. So if you want to launch Siri, all you have to do is hold down the side button right here, and you can see that we get Siri right away. No problem, right? That seems to work pretty well. Now, the one area where not having a home button is going to be a little bit different for everyone is getting home from an app. And I don't know why they didn't put a little force touch section right here, so if you force touched it, it would take you home. That just seems like it would make sense to me using their technology that they have in the phone, but you actually have to swipe up. And that's not the biggest deal in the world, but it is a little bit of a learning curve when you're used to pressing a button for so long. Now, if you're looking to get to the app switcher, you can no longer double press the home button anymore because, well, there's no home button. So instead, you're gonna have to swipe up from the center, hold, and then you can see that the app switcher will launch there. Now, if you want to close apps, there's one extra annoying step that you're gonna have to do, and you can't just swipe up on cards anymore to close them. You actually have to tap and hold on one of the cards until you see this little red icon in the corner, and then from there, you can either tap on that red icon or you can swipe up the cards as you normally would in previous versions, or on previous iPhones, I should say. It's not that big of a deal, but it's just one extra step that you have to do to close those apps. Getting to Control Center is also a little bit awkward, and I talked about this in my unboxing video, but you have to swipe down from the top corner here to be able to pull open Control Center, and you can access the notification center from anywhere to the left of that, so you can swipe down from the side or the center or anything like that. And it's not that big of a deal. It just seems a little out of place to me, and it's just something that we're all gonna have to get used to, I guess, unless Apple ends up changing the location of that. Now, when it comes to the rear camera system on the back side, don't expect a huge jump in quality over the 8 Plus. We do have optical stabilization on the telephoto lens here, and it also packs a faster aperture of f2.4 for better low light photography and a shallower depth of field. And we do also have a front-facing portrait mode on the iPhone X, which is nice, but it is a little bit shaky right now. It's in a beta mode, and hopefully software updates will come out to address that issue. But overall, camera samples are pretty good, and if you want to check them out, I will leave a link below for you in the description. So as far as battery life goes on this guy, well, it's managed to last me throughout the entire day on the 2 days that I've been using it, but if you want an extensive opinion on that, be sure to subscribe for my full review coming out in the near future. And of course, who can forget about AniMojis? So really, this is a standout feature of the iPhone X for some reason, and it's actually pretty fun. I think I spent like an hour or two just playing with the AniMojis. I'm sure eventually they will wear out, and if you want to check out some of the funny things I did, I'll link my Instagram below for you, but let me know what you think about the AniMojis in the comment section. So that basically wraps up the last 48 hours. It's kind of been a learning curve for me as far as the gestures go and how you use everything and just getting used to the larger display. Unfortunately, not every single app is going to be compatible just yet. It's gonna be one of those periods of time, just like it is whenever a display gets a bigger size or a bigger resolution. You have to kind of wait for that cycle of apps to be updated. But aside from that, you know, it's been working out so far. The design is basically the same as its predecessor, though I have to say that with the stainless steel on here, it definitely does feel a lot heavier, like a significant amount, and therefore it feels better in your hand. There's just more weight to it that I can actually appreciate. But let me know what you think about the iPhone X in the comments section below, and if you enjoyed this video, feel free to leave it a thumbs up, and don't forget to check out my unboxing of both colors of this iPhone X linked in the description for you. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. This is Dom, and I'll catch you in the next video.
Panda, 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 panda.